So here we go with regards to the second senior Rotax heat. Let's have a look at the grid. So Sean Butcher from Great Britain, actually he's an Aussie based out of London, but runs under a British licence. He starts on pole. Nick Cuppins from Belgium alongside, with Zino Kovac and Mark Kimber representing Hungary and Great Britain on row 2. Then it's Germany's Linus Hensen and Austria's David Lachner, row 3. Max Stemmerdink from the Netherlands and Hungary's Zsombor Kovac round out the top 4 rows, ahead of Sam Bergstein and Christian de Klein, who make it an all-Dutch row number 5 and thereby complete the top 10. Luna Blum in 11th, ahead of Sweden's Felix Jansson. Victor Frostbay, who returns to the championship after a notable absence, representing Denmark, starts 13th, ahead of Sasha Klavedecha and Gilles Chloé, who completes the 15-strong grid. And there's one driver that's already come into strife before we've even gotten going. So that could be Zino Kovac. I'll just wait to see. No, Zino Kovac, that's fine. But as soon as I see someone not coming through, that could be Zsombor Kovac that's just had a drama of a 379 that was due to start in 8th position. It was the case. It was Zsombor Kovac that had the off-track excursion there. A real shame for him, but these things do happen. I would imagine that's probably going to put us on for another formation lap, just so at least they can get the running. They can get everyone to exactly where they need to be ahead of this race. Another 10 minutes plus an additional lap, and afterwards we will have our first DD2 race of the weekend. So all classes apart from senior Rotax will have 3 preliminary heats before we go into the pre-finals and finals tomorrow. There are no second chance heats at all this weekend, because none of the classes actually exceed the maximum of 36 this weekend. So 10 minutes plus an additional lap. It is down to Sean Butcher and Nick Cuppins to control the pace at the front of the field. It looks like the weather has slightly subsided in comparison to what we saw earlier on today, but it is still going to be a tall order for all these drivers out on the circuit. Into the tram lines we go. The revs rise. Are we ready? Looks like we've gone lights out and we are racing as Sean Butcher, the rear axle on the 302 from KR Sport, went skywards after he hit the curve, as Nick Cuppins trying to hold on to traction. There's been dramas there, and it's for the 309 of Max Stemmerdink. I think I even saw Linus Hensen actually go off the circuit at that particular juncture. So Butcher managed to get away with that. Like literally he hit the inside part of the curve. There's more dramas. That's for the 341 of Sam Bergstein, who's just had Sasha Klavedecha go past. As now Butcher's going to lose the lead from courtesy of Cuppins, but then straight away Butcher back on the counter-offensive. Mark Kimber's coming along with them, so it's 2 Brits and a Belgian. Haven't yet completed the first lap, but Cuppins up the inside, retakes the lead, but Butcher's going to come back at him, and back at him he does come, and then all of a sudden they both go a little bit sideways. This is bringing Mark Kimber in, and Kimber's nearly alongside Nick Cuppins, but has to back out of it. A little bit of a better placement there for Sean Butcher going through into turns 1 and 2, but Kimber manages to scrabble for traction, and there's been dramas. That's Sasha Klavedetscha who's around, pointing the wrong way up the circuit. So Kimber up into P2, and now is closing in on Butcher, but he loses a lot of traction and has lost out second. Cuppens now, they're swapping positions quicker than I can shake a stick at, but keep your eyes on Linus Hensen just behind. He's going to banzai up the inside. Gets past Cuppens, up into P3 goes the German. And now he's going to go for Kimber. And he gets up the inside, but Kimber has the inside line coming out of the corner. Puts the power down, as does Cuppens. And the pair go past Hensen, so they return the favour, so to speak, for the 3-3-4. The current reigning and defending RMC Germany champion, who is looking a lot more racier this season here in the Euro Trophy. And Hensen coming into this round actually is P5 in the championship, so he still feels there's an opportunity to hit if he gets into the top 3. He represents Team Germany this year at the Bahrain International Karting Circuit for the grand finals. But the battle for second, third and fourth is absolutely enticing. Zsombor Kovacs has retired from the race, but there goes Hensen up the inside, and that's on Cuppens for third place through turn 4. Now next up, he's got in his crosshairs Mark Kimber, as David Lackner and Christian de Klein battling away for P5, just a little bit further adrift, and de Klein looked to get a little bit better out of the chicane, and he's actually got the move done. And there is Felix Jansson from Sweden, and Jansson goes up the inside of Lackner to boot, and Lackner tries to go up the inside, does exactly the switchback manoeuvre. That's what these drivers have been keeping their eyes on. Where can you really get a good run of traction if you take the inside line going through when somebody else goes wide? And that was a perfect textbook explanation of it. 6 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock, plus an additional lap still to go. Butcher leads, and his lead over Kimber now was 1.1 seconds. It's now 1.3. Hensen is closing and has put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 5.268 with just over 6.5 minutes to go. Nick Cuppens drops to fourth. Kimber now looking, sizing up a move on Hensen, but it's going to be a case of what is going to happen here. Sean Butcher is just keeping the blinkers on. He's not looking back. Hensen takes a look over his right-hand shoulder to see where Kimber is, and Kimber is a little bit closer than probably Hensen would like. Now a little bit wider there from Hensen, but he gets past. He stays ahead of Mark Kimber, who looked to get past, maybe using the inside line, but now he's got a real good run as the 357 from Strawberry Racing, and up through the penultimate right-hander. Kimber's got alongside, he's half a car length adrift, and now he goes through, but Hensen's going to get him on the final corner, coming out of it as Kimber drifts wide. Nick Cuppens is back in the fight for second position. He's just been waiting and seeing what is transpiring in front of him, so he's effectively got the ringside seat. A good run coming out of turn 2 by Kimber, but it's not enough to try and slingshot his way past Linus Hensen. He was about 4 kart lengths bit ahead of the Brit coming out of that turn 2 hairpin. And sideways drift there from Hensen. This is going to open the door. Kimber looks to be side by side into the next right-hander, and the Brit gets through on the chicane and gets the job done. But they are having to watch what they're doing here. Sean Butcher's lost a little bit of time here. The gap was nearly 1.5 seconds between him and Kimber. Between him and Hensen on the last tour, but now Kimber is going to start chasing, and the real fight begins as we're over halfway at this moment on this particular race. Heat 2 out of 6 for Senior Rotax, and Butcher still leads it after 5 laps. On to lap 6 we go. Gap was 1.457, it's now 0.888. Kimber's gone fastest of anybody this race, 1 minute 5.030. Hensen down into P3, Cuppens, Decline, Lackner, Frostbay up into 7th, Jansson up into 8th, Bergstein and Blum, they round out the top 10. Zino Kovac, Sasha Klavedetscha and Gilles Clouet round out the top 13. Retirements already from Max Stemerdink and Zsombor Kovac. Three minutes and 55 seconds plus an additional lap still to go. How quickly is that window of opportunity going to close for Mark Kimber if he wants to get past Sean Butcher? Well, the gap between them is starting to get a bit closer. It was truncated by well over 0.7 of a second on the previous lap. The big thing is, how quickly can Sean Butcher respond? Well, at the moment, it's not as quick as I thought it might be, because Kimber is looking closer. Lap 6 completed. Butcher still leads. Kimber, less than half a second adrift. Linus Henson makes it 9/10 between the top three as he closes in on Mark Kimber. It looks to get a better run coming out of turn 2. Into turn 4, the left-hander here. Henson looking up the inside. Oh, and he goes sideways and he loses it completely. And there is Nick Cuppins waiting to pick up the pieces. I don't think there are enough pieces of the China vase for Cuppins to be able to repair it quickly enough for him to grab. But Henson could have gotten Kimber there, but he made a slight mistake, and look how close he was to that barrier on that right-hander just then. That's how close these drivers are flirting with disaster. So 2 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock remaining, plus an additional lap. Butcher still leads, but it's not a case of if, it's a case of when. Mark Kimber is going to pull that trigger and throw the grenade into Sean Butcher's general direction. Well, at the moment, with half a second between them, it's not yet about to happen, but it just depends on how quickly, you know how capable Kimber is. It's also just dependent on how much he wants to get past Sean Butcher, because you want to have a heat win. Nicolastra's already got one. Kimber will want to take one for his own. But it's just going to be a case of if and when it's going to happen, and that could be rather imminently. Change for the lead does happen, but Butcher gets it back. Now he knows he's got to fight for it. 1.5 minutes left, plus an additional lap. Butcher and Kimber battling away, tooth and nail. Kimber gets up the inside. A little bit of a wide run there for Sean Butcher going through the penultimate right-hander. And now, after 8 laps, it's Mark Kimber that leads the race. Across the line they go. 0.187 behind is Butcher, but he's looking up the inside, going through into turn 2. Takes the tighter line. Kimber now gets the run, puts the power down, goes slightly sideways, but gets back past to retake the lead on the exit of turn number 2. Linus Henson has now got the ringside seat. He's waiting after his slight faux pas at this particular corner just a couple of laps ago when he was battling away with Nick Cuppins. He's got himself back into the hunt. His time is fast ticking away. Kimber leads. Butcher second. Henson third. And oh, he went really wide, did Linus Henson. Oh my goodness me. I did say flirting with disaster when it comes to being close to walls. He nearly ended up in those polystyrene barriers there. Oh my goodness, Henson is absolutely wringing the neck of that chassis and engine at the moment. But we are going to go on to the penultimate lap of the race, lap 10 out of 11, and Kimber now has a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel between him and Butcher. 0.4 of a second. Henson right on the back bumper of the 302. Butcher tries to go tight in, and that could really open the door for Henson, who gets past him round the outside. Through turn 3 goes Linus Henson on Sean Butcher. Now the timer has well and truly expired, and we are on the penultimate lap of this race. But Henson now has a chance to move away from Sean Butcher, and that's exactly what he has done in this race. So Linus Henson has got the fastest lap in his pocket, a 1 minute 4.877. We'll have one more lap to go after this one. So Mark Kimber now leads Linus Henson going on to the final lap of this race. As Henson again goes a little bit wider. Last lap board is out. Henson closing on Kimber. Henson's not going to go for it yet, but he's got to make sure he keeps it neat and tidy. If he wants to have a chance at the 3:57 from Strawberry Racing, now is his opportunity. Going through into turn 4, he looks again, and he goes up the inside. The pair go wide. That could allow Sean Butcher to close in on Mark Kimber, and it has done. I'm sure that Kimber will be not happy about that particular move from Linus Henson, but Henson saw a gap and went for it. So we're on the final lap. I did say that Linus Henson needed to do something, and he did something rather robust. He went up the inside, the Nyon clashed going through, so Kimber ended up going wide, but Kimber's going to hold on to second. Not too sure if that's going to stand post-race, but that's down to race control. But Kimber is going to do his level best. We've got one more corner remaining on lap number 11, the final lap of the race. Henson comes out of the final corner. How close is he going to get to the wall? Very close indeed. He's going to get his head down. He's going to take the checkered flag on the road. Kimber, 0.22 behind. Butcher, who started on pole, rounded out the top 3. Nick Cuppins in 4th. Christian de Klein in 5th place, ahead of David Lackner. But Linus Henson, with a rambunctious move up the inside of Mark Kimber through turn number 4, gets himself a race victory provisionally on the road. After 11 laps of racing, 12.5 minutes of racing action. Let's have a look at the full results. So by 0.221 seconds, Germany's Linus Henson here at Muelsen wins senior Rotax Heat 2, Groups C versus D, ahead of Mark Kimber from Great Britain. Sean Butcher in 3rd place. Nick Cuppins in 4th. Christian de Klein in the 399. 5th place. David Lackner in 6th. Felix Jansson in 7th, Victor Frostbay in 8th, Sam Bergstein in 9th, ahead of Zeno Kovac with Lunablom, Sasha Klavedecha and Gilles Clouet being the last of the 13 drivers that made it to the finish. Max Stemmerdink retired on lap 3, with Zombor Kovac not even making it to the start.